Good evening, brothers and sisters. I have a very interesting subject. Tonight I will talk about God. Can we prove that God exists? One very interesting article by famous Roman Catholic theologian. And I will tell you later how that implements our Orthodox faith. His name is Dr. Rolheiser. This is the article, beautiful article. I read it twice, and I'm under an impression. And Catholic Register is a newspaper of whole Catholic Church in Canada, and I read it together with all of Orthodox magazines. My favorite Orthodox magazine in English is again founded by Father Peter Gilchrist. As time goes by, I will read some articles from there, and we can discuss it together. Also, you can ask me any questions you want. So, Father Rolheiser is a PhD, and he wrote. He said, I wrote my doctoral thesis on a value of various philosophical arguments that try to prove existence of God. Can there be such proof? Brilliant philosophers from Anselm to Aquinas, Descartes, through the contemporary intellectuals like Charles Hawthorne, submit their existence of God can be proven through the rational agreement. Except a lot of depends upon what exactly we mean by word prove. How do we prove something? There is a legend about Christopher that's permanent here. Christopher was a man gifted in every way except in faith. He philosophically was strong, powerful, and good-hearted, mellow, well-liked. He was also generous, using his physical strength to help others, but he found it hard to believe in God even though he wanted to. For him, the physical was what was real and everything else seems unreal. And so, as the legend goes, he lived his life in a certain honest agnosticism, unable to really believe in anything beyond that he could physically see, feel, and touch. However, this did not prevent him from using his gifts, especially his physical strength, to serve others. This was his refuge, generosity, and service. He became fareboat operator, spending his life helping to carry people across dangerous river. One night, as the legend goes, during the storm or fareboat capsizing, Christopher dove into the dark waters and rescued a young child. Carrying that child to the shore, he looked into face and saw there was a face of Christ. After he believed he had seen the face of Christ. For all his pity, this legend contains a profound lesson. It changes the perspective of questions of how one tries to prove God's existence. Our attempt to prove God's existence has to be practical, essential, and incarnated rather than mainly intellectual. How do we move from believing only in a physical and from believing only in reality what we can see, touch, taste, and smell, or believing in existing deeper spiritual matters? There is a lesson of Christopher's story. Live as honestly and respectfully you can, and use your gifts to help others, and God will appear. God is not found at the conclusion of philosophical syllogism. but as a result of certain way of living. Moreover, faith is not so much a question of feeling as a selfless service. There is further lesson of biblical account of the Apostle Thomas and his doubt about the resurrection of Jesus. Remember his protest. Unless I physically place my finger in the wounds of his hands and stick my finger into the wound of his side, I will not believe. Note that Jesus offers no resistance or rebuke in the face of Thomas' skepticism. Instead, he takes Thomas at his word. Come and physically place your finger in the wounds of my hand and the wound in my side, and see it yourself that I am real and not a ghost. That's an open challenge for us. Come and see for yourself that God is real and He is not ghost. That His challenge, however, is not much an intellectual or as a moral one. A challenge to be honest, generous. Skepticism and agnosticism, even atheism, are not a problem as long as one is honest and not rationalizing, not lying, ready to efface oneself before reality as it appears, and generous of giving him or his or her life in every day of service. In these conditions, if these conditions are not met, God is an author of sources. If they are met, God is author of sources and eventually becomes sufficiently real even to those who need physical proof. The stories of Christopher and Thomas teach us and to assure that God is neither arranged or threatened by honest agnosticism. Faith is never certain, never is it is sure feeling that God exists. Conversely, unbelief is to be confused with the absence of felt assurance that God exists. For everyone, that will be dark nights of the soul, silences of God, with lonely seasons, skeptical times when God's reality cannot consciously grasp or recognize. The history of faith, as witnessed by life of Jesus and life of the saints, shows that God often seems dead end, and those times are the reality of empirical world can overpower us, that nothing seems real except that we can see and feel right now, not last our own point. Whenever this happens, like Christopher and Thomas, we need to become honest agnostics who are our godness and God-given strength to help carry when across of burdensome rivers of life. God does not ask to have a faith that is certain, but a service that is generous and sustained. We have to the assurance that should we faithfully help carry others, we will one day find ourselves before the reality of God, who will gently say to us, "See for yourself that I am real, I am not a ghost." Can we prove that God exists in theory? No. In life, yes. So, beautiful article. We can ask many questions. So, Father Rolheiser is a brilliant theologian of the Roman Catholic Church and writes, this is weekly, magazine, Catholic Register, writes about faith. So in this newspapers there are many beautiful things, crosswords, puzzles, and also announcements, news. But I read mostly that theology. Same thing with when I read from the Anglican and Baptist newspapers. I receive most of them. Some of them they are online. I receive most of the Orthodox magazines, which are being published in U.S. and Canada, and in Europe as well. But this especially implements our Canadian life. Does God exist? And we have many friends who are agnostics, who are atheists. We do not shun them. We should not deprive them, neglect them, look them from above. They are children of God, and they are our brothers. Read every newspaper you want to read, especially if it's a religious one, and talk to your priests. Talk to them about different agendas, different ways in theology, about different aspects, about how you see theology today, about mentality, about Canada, about old country. We are children of God, and we should not have taboos among ourselves, especially when you're addressing the priest. Ask them how God exists. Do you have any proofs? Beautiful subject to talk about. May God safeguard you, and may God bless you. Read the Orthodox press and the Christian press in general. How this implements our Orthodox life. Because we have similar people in the Orthodox Church who ask, does God exist? And we give them similar answers like Father Ron did. So Saint Thomas the Apostle put his finger before he did not believe that Christ is not a ghost. And we have a Christopher who saw face of Christ. Does God exist? So therefore, when we are among agnostics, when we are among atheists, we should have a sincere, open, and truthful conversation with them, without raising our voice, without proving at all times that we have a right because we are Christians, we are baptized, and they don't know what they are saying. We need to listen to them, what they need to say, and a lot of times they are atheists and agnostics because of us, because we in clergy did not pay too much attention. When someone is doing good thing, that is important, and God will appear to him. So do we have theoretical proof that God exists? No. In theory, no, but in life, yes. So how should we love to see our parishioners? Smiling, only smiling. And when we can somehow provoke that smile to our parishioners and happiness, we are proving to them that God in reality exists. Amen.